Aging is a universal journey, but something peculiar often happens when people reach their 80s. Individuals who were sharp, energetic, and engaged just a few years prior frequently begin to decline. It's tempting to attribute this to genetics or sheer luck, assuming those are the primary drivers. However, the reality is far more complex. In this detailed exploration, we'll uncover 5 surprising, frequently overlooked reasons why many older adults struggle to live long or maintain their health past 80. These aren't the usual suspects like poor nutrition, lack of physical activity, or smoking habits. Instead, they're deeper, more subtle factors that often go unnoticed, even among those who've lived carefully and made healthy choices. The encouraging news? Once you understand these reasons, you can take proactive steps to address them. If you've ever wondered what truly undermines longevity after 80 and how to safeguard your vitality while there's still time, stay with me. These insights could fundamentally change how you approach aging. Let's dive into the first reason. 1. The silent erosion of microsocial engagement. One of the most underappreciated reasons many older adults don't thrive past 80 is the gradual loss of microsocial engagement. These aren't the profound connections of lifelong friendships or family gatherings. Those remain crucial, of course. Rather, microsocial engagements are the small, seemingly insignificant interactions that once filled your daily life, often without you consciously noticing their value. Think of the brief exchange with the cashier at the corner store, the nod to a neighbor watering their lawn, or the quick thank you to the mail carrier. These fleeting moments may appear trivial, but they serve a vital purpose. They help regulate your nervous system, reinforce your sense of belonging, and keep your brain's social pathways active, alert, and sharp. After 80, however, these interactions often diminish. You might stop visiting shops because online ordering is more convenient or rely on family members to run errands. Hearing difficulties can make casual conversations feel awkward or exhausting. Mobility challenges might keep you indoors, especially during colder months, or you may avoid uneven sidewalks to prevent falls. Slowly, these tiny social touch points fade away, and with them, something essential begins to slip: your vitality. Most people don't realize this shift is occurring. They assume they're simply streamlining their lives or adapting to new limitations, but in truth, they're losing the low-level social stimulation that enhances mood, sharpens cognitive function, and signals to the body that it's still an active part of the world. I once heard about an 84-year-old woman named Evelyn who remained remarkably sharp well into her later years. Her secret wasn't complex. Every morning she walked to a nearby park, greeted the same dog walkers, and exchanged a few words with a street vendor. That 10-minute routine wasn't just a habit, it was a lifeline. It gave her day structure, made her feel acknowledged, and kept her mentally engaged. When these micro-social moments disappear, the brain interprets even subtle isolation as a stressor. This triggers hormonal changes, increases inflammation, and weakens immune function. Over time, it can erode the neural networks responsible for memory, attention, and emotional regulation, accelerating the sensation of aging. The good news is that reversing this trend doesn't require dramatic changes. If you've noticed you're interacting less, avoiding small outings, skipping casual chats, or feeling less visible in your community, take a small step to reconnect. Visit a local cafe, say hello to a neighbor, or strike up a brief conversation with someone you encounter. These moments, however fleeting, send a powerful message to your brain and body. You're still connected, still relevant. This understated form of connection is one of the most potent tools for sustaining not just your years, but your spirit as you age. To make this practical, consider setting a goal to have at least one microsocial interaction each day. It could be as simple as complimenting someone's garden or asking a store clerk about their day. These brief exchanges accumulate, reinforcing your sense of place in the world. Over time, they can help maintain your cognitive clarity, emotional balance, and overall resilience, ensuring that aging doesn't dim your inner light. 2. Overcautious inactivity. Another subtle but significant factor that undermines longevity after 80 is overcautious inactivity. At first glance, being careful seems like a wise choice, especially as the body becomes more vulnerable with age. But there's a delicate balance between prudence and excessive caution, and crossing that line can lead to profound, cumulative consequences. This often begins with well-meaning decisions: a minor stumble on a staircase, a moment of imbalance on a walk, or a fleeting, dizzy spell. To avoid future risks, you might stop taking evening strolls, avoid bending to retrieve items, or spend more time seated. Friends and family may reinforce this, urging you to take it easy or not push yourself. Gradually, caution becomes a way of life, and physical activity dwindles to a minimum. Here's the critical insight: the body doesn't thrive when it's idle. Unlike a machine that conserves energy when unused, the human body is a dynamic system that requires movement to maintain its strength and functionality. When physical activity slows, muscle mass fades, but the impact goes beyond your arms or legs. Your core muscles, those deep in your torso, are essential for basic tasks like standing, walking, balancing, or even getting out of a chair. Without regular use, these muscles weaken rapidly, leading to instability, wobbling, and a self-reinforcing cycle of further inactivity. I recall the story of James, an 82-year-old who stopped his daily walks after slipping on a wet sidewalk. He wasn't injured, but the scare was enough to change his habits. He went from walking 2 miles each evening to spending most of his time indoors, often watching TV. Within 6 months, he lost significant muscle mass. His legs felt unsteady, and his confidence eroded. James didn't become frail because of age alone. He became frail because he stopped moving. This distinction is vital. Protecting yourself doesn't mean eliminating movement. Smart precautions, using handrails, wearing sturdy shoes, clearing cluttered pathways, or using a cane, can reduce risk without sacrificing activity. The key is to differentiate between managing potential dangers and letting fear dictate your choices. If you've noticed you're doing less not because you're physically incapable, but because you're worried about what might happen, take a moment to reflect. Are you preserving your health, or are you inadvertently allowing your body to fade? Movement, even if slower or more deliberate, is how the body stays vibrant. It preserves muscle strength, enhances coordination, keeps your brain alert, and supports cardiovascular health. To thrive past 80, you don't need to engage in intense workouts. Just keep moving intentionally and consistently. For example, a short daily walk, gentle stretches, or even standing to water plants can make a difference. These actions remind your body that it's still needed, helping you maintain both physical and mental vitality. 3. Disrupted sleep cycles from irregular light exposure. Deep within your body operates an invisible clock that orchestrates nearly every aspect of your health: your mood, energy levels, metabolism, immune function, and even how your brain repairs itself during sleep. This is your circadian rhythm, and after 80, it becomes increasingly sensitive to disruption. One of the most common culprits? Irregular light exposure, specifically too little natural light during the day and too much artificial light at night. Many older adults don't notice how their routines shift in ways that confuse this internal clock. Perhaps you spend more time indoors, especially during colder seasons, or take frequent naps in the afternoon sunlight. Maybe you keep bright lights on late into the evening or watch TV before bed. These habits may seem harmless, but they disrupt the body's ability to distinguish between wakefulness and rest. Morning sunlight signals your brain to activate, boosting alertness and energy. Evening darkness triggers the release of melatonin, a hormone that prepares you for deep, restorative sleep. When these cues are inconsistent, your sleep suffers. You might struggle to fall asleep, wake frequently, or feel groggy despite a full night's rest. Poor sleep has far-reaching effects. It weakens immune function, destabilizes mood, impairs memory, and increases the risk of cognitive decline. Additionally, reduced sunlight exposure limits the production of vitamin D, which is critical for bone health, muscle strength, and immune resilience. After 80, the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D decreases, making regular outdoor light exposure even more essential. I learned about an 86-year-old named Thomas who felt increasingly tired and mentally foggy. His medical tests showed no major issues, but his doctor noticed he rarely left his home and kept bright lights on until midnight. The solution was simple. Thomas began spending 20 minutes each morning on his balcony, soaking in natural light, and turned off screens an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, his sleep quality improved, his energy levels rose, and his thinking became clearer. The remedy wasn't medication, it was light. To restore your circadian rhythm, prioritize morning light exposure, even if it's just sitting by an open window or stepping onto a porch for a few minutes. In the evening, dim lights and limit screen time to signal rest. These adjustments help realign your body's internal clock, enhancing sleep quality, mental clarity, and overall resilience. Aging isn't solely about physical wear. It's also about keeping your biological system synchronized, and light is a powerful tool to achieve that harmony. To make this actionable, try setting a morning routine that includes 10 to 15 minutes of natural light exposure, whether through a walk or simply sitting outdoors. At night, create a wind-down ritual. Lower the lights, avoid blue light devices, and perhaps read a book by soft lamplight. These small changes can profoundly impact your energy, mood, and long-term health, helping you age with greater vitality. 4. Emotional suppression from loss and isolation. By the time most people reach their 80s, they've experienced significant losses: a spouse, a sibling, a close friend, or in some cases, a child. While society may offer sympathy, what's rarely acknowledged is how these losses accumulate, not just in your heart, but in your body. After 80, the challenge often isn't just grief, but emotional suppression, the quiet habit of bottling up pain rather than expressing it. You might feel you should be past the sorrow by now, or lack someone who truly understands, so you put on a stoic face, but the body doesn't let go of unprocessed emotions. Suppressed grief lingers, manifesting as physical symptoms: tension in the shoulders, shallow breathing, disrupted sleep, or a weakened immune system. It alters hormone levels, strains the nervous system, and dims your inner spark. The effects are often subtle. You may appear calm or even claim you're fine, but if your energy feels heavier or your enthusiasm has waned, unexpressed sorrow could be the culprit. I heard about an 88-year-old named Lillian who lost her husband of 62 years. She rarely spoke of her grief, insisting she was managing. Yet she stopped attending her book club, lost weight, and struggled with insomnia. Her decline wasn't due to a medical condition, but the emotional weight she carried silently. Emotional pain doesn't need to be dramatic to cause harm. It builds quietly, surfacing in ways that obscure the connection. Thriving past 80 requires emotional release. Those who live long and well often have outlets for their feelings: a trusted confidant, a journal, a faith community, or a therapist. Expressing sadness, anger, or loneliness without judgment allows the heart to breathe and the body to heal. If you've been holding pain inside, not because you choose to, but because you don't know where to release it, create a space for it. This isn't just about emotional relief, it's about preserving your physical vitality. A heart burdened by unvoiced sorrow struggles to beat with purpose. To start, consider small ways to express what you're carrying. Write a letter to someone you've lost, even if you never send it. Share a memory with a friend, or join a support group where your feelings are welcomed. These acts of release can lighten your load, restoring energy and resilience. By letting yourself feel, you're not just surviving, you're keeping your spirit alive. The gradual loss of daily purpose. Perhaps the most insidious reason many older adults don't thrive past 80 is the slow erosion of daily purpose. This isn't about lofty life goals or grand ambitions, but the simple routines that give your day meaning: a reason to rise, something to do, someone to connect with. Purpose can be as modest as feeding a bird that visits your windowsill, organizing a drawer, or calling a relative. But when these small anchors fade, life loses its texture, and the body begins to follow suit. This loss is often so gradual it's easy to miss. Perhaps a weekly card game ends, or health issues limit your ability to volunteer. Maybe family visits become less frequent, or daily tasks feel less pressing. You tell yourself it's a natural part of aging, but the days start to blend, each quieter than the last. Without purpose, appetite diminishes, movement slows, and the body's systems, waiting for a signal to stay active, begin to quiet down. I learned about a 90-year-old named Samuel who seemed more vibrant than many half his age. His secret wasn't wealth or perfect health, but a series of small, consistent routines. Every morning, he wrote a short note to his grandchildren. Twice a week, he tended a small vegetable patch. Each afternoon, he sat by his window to wave at school children passing by. These acts weren't glamorous, but they gave his day structure and his life meaning. Purpose, no matter how small, is like fuel. It signals to your cells to keep repairing, your brain to stay engaged, and your heart to keep beating. If your days feel shapeless or you sense a loss of meaning, don't dismiss it as inevitable. It's a sign your body craves rhythm and relevance. Reclaim purpose through small, intentional acts, a daily walk, a kind gesture, a personal ritual like brewing tea mindfully. Longevity isn't just about physical survival. It's about wanting to live, and purpose fuels that desire. To make this practical, identify one small task that gives you a sense of accomplishment or connection. It could be watering a plant, writing a thank you note, or helping a neighbor. Commit to doing it regularly, letting it anchor your day. Over time, these moments of purpose can reignite your vitality, reminding you that your presence still matters. Final thoughts. The decline after 80 isn't typically triggered by a single event, a diagnosis, a fall, or a milestone. It's the gradual fading of habits, rhythms, and reasons to stay engaged with life. These shifts are so subtle they often go unnoticed until your vitality feels dimmer than it once was. But just as these changes happen slowly, they can be reversed slowly. One step outside, one kind word to a stranger, one moment of movement, one act of purpose, these small choices can rekindle your inner fire. Reflect on the 5 reasons we've explored. Which one surprised you? Which felt uncomfortably familiar? Most importantly, which can you act on today, even in a small way? You have more power than you might realize, not to stop aging, but to shape how you age. By staying attentive to these quiet shifts, nurturing your rhythms, protecting your purpose, and allowing yourself to feel what needs to be felt, you can not only reach 80, but live beyond it, fully and vibrantly on your own terms. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share one insight you gained and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your engagement inspires this work. If you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share. Here's to aging with intention, resilience, and joy. Until next time.